thinking about a cyber risk program approach, and I understand, Sue and Terry, that you mentioned that it's generally the right first step for any organization to take. But in your experience, where does an organization start with embracing a cyber risk program approach? And is there a certain level of technical expertise that's required internally within an organization for them to be able to effectively adopt this approach?
You do not need it. Expertise is a commodity, and there are many capable companies that could walk a company through the process. But I think the number one step any organization should be doing anyway as an annual practice is to re-baseline their business objectives and their mission goals. With that, they could align, bring in the technologies and the services to protect that, right? Don't go out and try to satisfy all the security controls. It just doesn't make sense. And that's why I think a lot of businesses ignore cyber as a whole, because they look at, oh, that's going to be $5 million a year without even looking at the list, right? Without even understanding or accepting these are the core things that I need to protect on day one. And this is where I want to get to on day 30, right? So I think from a understanding of the details of cybersecurity and technology, it's not necessary. Focus on what the business is good at, which is their core business practices and what their offerings are and what their expertise is, and then figure out working with experts, including us, to protecting that.
And what are your thoughts, Terry? Like, just from an executive perspective, what would your advice be to executives around embracing this approach and not feeling overwhelmed or like they have to have all the answers when it comes to the technology?
So number one is that the technologies that we use are unintrusive, and you don't have to be technically deep, and you don't have to do a lot. In other words, we do it, right? We run the diagnostics. What we do is once we get those results is come to you and have that conversation about what we're seeing and what your business does and what we need to protect first. That's about the prioritization, that if you have $5,000, here's where you put that $5,000 that maps to the risks that are critical to your business operations. So it's really anyone can work with us on this. You don't have to be technical, you just have to care.
Now, I'm mindful of time, but Sue and Terry, do either of you have any final insights or piece of advice that you'd like to share with everyone? I think we're certainly going to have to pick this conversation up at a later date, but any final pieces of advice and or insights you'd like to share with everyone?
It doesn't have to cost anything. Just take the first step and have a conversation. Most initial conversations are complimentary. Okay, and if you're paying for that initial conversation, you may be talking to the wrong group of folks. Okay, so just take the first step and have the conversation about your business without opening up everything. But I think just taking that first step will open doors and open eyes to how feasible many of these capabilities are for your business without it costing it, without costing too much.
I couldn't agree more. And I just take it one extra level, which is own it. No matter who you are on the leadership or management or board team, own this. Don't hand it off. Bring it to the table, have the discussion, get the initial consult, right? And take that first step.
It's absolutely brilliant. And I think there's been an incredible amount of value that you've both shared. As I anticipated within this video, your experience and expertise is of extremely high value. And I really hope that in particular in Australia, that's where my invested interest predominantly are. I really hope everyone appreciates this. And I think you're sending a very, very important message to everyone across Australia in professional settings and personal settings. But just quickly before we wrap up, we've got Trent Primmer, who is the head of trading at Barclay Pearce Capital, on the call. Now, Trent, just quickly, after listening to these expert insights from Sue Kim and Terry Roberts of WhiteHawk, what's your view on the investment landscape for the cyber industry? And are there any particular trends that you're seeing for companies like WhiteHawk?
So what I've noticed in particular is with the emergence of cloud data storage from on-premise, And obviously, as we're moving increasingly and rapidly to a digitized world, the need for cybersecurity is so much greater. What I've noticed over the past 30 days in particular, sort of an investment theme that we've noticed is a lot of the higher price tech stocks selling off in the market, which has caused somewhat unfairly some of these cybersecurity companies to sell off over the past 30 days. So what my traders and myself have started to do is soak up some of these discounted value cybersecurity plays, because I think moving forward over the next 12 to 24 months, you're going to see a massive increase in demand for cybersecurity businesses, products, and investment opportunities in that landscape. So I think it's a massive growth area. And I think shorter term, 12 to 24 months, we'd expect an uptick in some of these businesses on the market. And purely they're at an excellent price point now to pick up. As the broader market sold off, it's caused them to sell off. So we'd be buyers in this market in the cybersecurity sector.
A huge thank you to Terry Roberts, who is the CEO and founder of WhiteHawk, Sue Kim, who is the COO and CTO of WhiteHawk, and of course, Trent Primmer, who is the head of trading at Barclay Pearce Capital. Thank you all very much for joining me today. I trust the audience enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. If you'd like to discover more about WhiteHawk, please go on over to their website and please do check out the particulars of their cyber risk program approach. You've very clearly heard from them today as to their advice on how to take the right first step for your organization, regardless as to where you're at. And if you'd like to explore investment opportunities with WhiteHawk, we encourage you to go and contact Barclay Pearce Capital.